We're kind of moving fast on this. I try to keep these under 15 minutes. So, this is by necessity kind of a broad but shallow survey. But I want to talk about two other authors that were part of Holloway House. And the first of these would be Roosevelt Mallory, who wrote four novels about a hitman named Rafferty. Mallory, there's not a lot of biographical information on him. He, as soon as he stopped writing, he basically faded into obscurity. Someone was able to find that he had died in 2007, but we don't know when he was born. He also was in the military. He was in the Coast Guard, and after where he received electronics training after his discharge, he went to work at Hewlett Packard as a programmer and eventually an instructor and a video director at HP's in-house training department. The story is, the legend is that Mallory saw a blaxploitation movie, we don't know which one, didn't like it, didn't think much of the writing in it, and like so many authors, was inspired by the belief that he could do better. And he started writing the Radcliffe books. Sorry, I said Rafferty earlier, that's Radcliffe. Who does not, who, while he becomes essentially a sort of standard 1970s series action hero, not unlike Mac Bolan, not unlike, the other action noun heroes such as, the Butcher and the Penetrator and the Enforcer and the Extirpator and whoever else. Originally, Radcliffe is working for the mob. Like I said, he's a hitman, and but he finds himself at odds with them and eventually pursued by them and forced to go to war with the mafia. And of course, he does have a girlfriend, and she is a plot device motivation, and that she's murdered by the mafia at some point in that. So like I said, Mallory only writes those four books as far as anyone knows, or at least those are the only four that were ever published under his name, and disappears from public view, as nothing is really known of his post-writing life. Now, a much larger figure in the history of Holloway House is Joseph Nazel, who wrote, depending on the source, anywhere from 49 to 60 plus books. He wrote nonfiction, he wrote novels. Yeah, he was a local journalist within the African American community in Los Angeles, and he drifted sort of in and out of work with Holloway House because he came into conflict frequently with the ownership and higher ups at HH. He himself was a combat veteran. He had been wounded in Vietnam and took to writing and editing upon his discharge. He also he did publish, sorry, not publish. He also edited Players Magazine off and on and it lasted, I believe, well into the 90s. I remember seeing it places. I think we may have stocked it at Tower Records when I was working there. And of course, it had spin-off publications as well. So he intermittently was also the editor of that, and tried to elevate it a la Playboy with fiction, with journalism. Stanley Crouch was their jazz reviewer for a while. So he tried to do more with it than the publishers were really. They just wanted kind of a straight-ahead nudie book. This was one of the overriding problems that kept happening over and over. But the book I held up is one of the volumes in a series he wrote about the Iceman. And the Iceman is Henry Highland West, who is, for lack of a better term, a super pimp who, makes a lot of money and then goes to Nevada, where in certain counties prostitution is illegal. Like that Bunny Ranch business on HBO, except West dreams bigger. He creates what is essentially an all-inclusive resort bordello, huge complex in the Nevada desert, and he is attended by a retinue of female bodyguards. And eventually, as the series goes on, because he makes the mob mad. He's taken money away from the Las Vegas prostitution racket, and he just kind of makes racists in general mad at him because of his wild success, and he eventually drifts into becoming a freelance espionage operative for the United States government and other powers. I believe there are 8 Iceman novels in all, and that's all I was able to find online. He also did an adventure novel called Delta Crossing that I'm also very interested to find. It's kind of a man hunted through the swamps sort of adventure book, but I found reference to it. I've never seen it anywhere, but I want to find it. He also novelized the film, which you can find out there. I've seen it on like public domain DVD compilations and stuff, called Black Gestapo. So, check that out if you want, but I'm sure the novelization of that is quite difficult to find. I've seen it online. It's very expensive. I've never seen the film. So like I said, this has been kind of a fast look at Holloway House. Like I said, most of their titles at this point are not in print, but keep an eye out in used bookstores. Easy enough, they've got a catalog number usually at the top. It's usually HH- and then like a 3-digit number. But check those out. Check out some of the authors I've mentioned. Slim was probably the biggest of the bunch. I think he's also probably the weakest of the bunch. I've never read Dope Fiend, which was Goins' first novel. By the accounts of it that I've read, it sounds like a horror novel kind of masquerading as a crime novel. It is going to be extremely violent and very graphic and gruesome. But check that out as well. If you're looking for more like your standard sort of 70s action stuff, check out the Radcliffe novels and the Iceman novels. I don't think Holloway House really did any other action series, although interestingly, kind of the company that did start all that off with the Mac Bolan, executioner novels in the late 60s was Pinnacle, and Pinnacle is one of the imprints within Kensington Publishing who bought the Holloway House books. Okay, that's all for this episode, but we're start moving forward and looking at some other things. We'll also look at some other authors in this area. Certainly Chester Himes. I think I need to do more reading basically of his novels to do, but he is, I think, deserves an entire episode just about him. Also probably look at African American crime characters written by white authors, and also Asian crime characters such as Charlie Chan, Mr. Moto, also written by white authors, and we'll check those out in future editions, along with a lot of other topics. Thanks for watching us. As usual, look, open to page 72 in your hymnal, and everybody, let's all sing together. Like and subscribe, sign up for notifications, the usual stuff. But thanks for watching, and we will talk to you later on. All right, bye.
Like, subscribe, repost, share everywhere. To see what else we're up to, visit xynobooks.com, xenobooks.com.